Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, how are you doing?
Good, good. It was a cold one this week and this morning.
Yes, yeah, it's been awful. It's been awful in Albany. Rain, freezing temperatures, snow. Yeah, there was like a flurry at one point, and I don't know
Yeah,
what's on the
it,
way.
it's been it's been dusting for sure.
Yeah, it sucks in upstate New York right now. Actually, it just sucks everywhere right now. No matter where you go, it's cold. It's winter time. Do, does this weather make you want to ever move somewhere warm where it's like 70 degrees all the time, year round? December, it's sunny. You can go outside in shorts and t-shirt.
I don't know about that. I would definitely like a milder winter, but you lose something, you always have to get something else.
Yeah, I guess if you do move someplace warmer, then all right, you're dealing with bugs year round now. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
Like, so that's the give and the take. Do you want mosquitoes all the time, or do you want to have to deal with snow? I personally wouldn't mind the mosquitoes. I think I could deal with it,
It's
or
that,
other
but I
things.
mean, a milder winter means like a more extreme summer as well. And like we've
Yeah,
talked about my trip to DC in the summer, how bad that was. And I like wearing clothes where I'm not just sweating through the second I step outside. So,
I mean, there's got to be a place that's just chill year round where there isn't that. There aren't crazy
yeah.
animals. There isn't a giant temperature fluctuation one way or another. It's got I don't know, like not all right, not Florida, right? Florida gets humid and hot and disgusting. California?
Yeah, but they're like one season and then they have fires
Yeah, yeah.
and
And it's
earthquakes.
California. And it's California too. That's a
Yeah,
whole
I couldn't deal with that traffic either.
hmm. Hawaii? Hawaii's gotta be
I
nice
mean,
year round,
also
right?
fires and like they don't want you there.
Okay, yeah. Uh that's true. That is true. That is true. We wouldn't fare well in Hawaii. Although, I mean, there's got to be at least one island that's like, okay, all right, this is where we go. You know,
Well, yeah, I bet.
I mean, there's got to at least be one. All right, so not California, not uh,
I mean, I feel like the Carolinas, right? Like in
hurricanes,
North
right?
Carolina. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you got to go further south than New York, but not
Yeah,
south enough, like not too far.
Virginia's still
Maybe
going to get
no.
snow, right?
Yeah.
Virginia,
I mean, yeah, that's
Texas,
got to be definitely not Texas.
Texas. That's what just dry heat all the time, right?
Yeah, but when anything happens, their whole remember like everything shuts down
Oh
because
yeah,
they
the storm.
get pretty cold, and
Yeah,
like when they're just not built for it also. So like
yeah,
their
that's true.
freezing temps means you don't have power for weeks.
Yeah, that all right. That would suck.
Yeah.
I've never experienced in New York. Oh, you're just not going to have power for a couple weeks or a month. Have
Yeah,
you?
that's
It's
no.
not
Oh my
not a thing.
gosh.
Yeah. Huh. All right. And I mean, then now you're talking out of country, maybe, because we've already talked about the perimeter here. Australia, you got too many. I just saw a video of all the things that gets in people's houses, and this
Yeah.
one lady's like, "Yeah, I left the door open for like 5 minutes while I went and got in my car, and then there's a kangaroo inside, and I don't want to. Yeah, I wouldn't have to deal with that."
I don't know, maybe
Um,
like Greece. I feel like I've never like yeah, their economy, but overall, I've never heard anything bad about temperature in
yeah,
Greece.
I mean, there's the economy. There's some problematic political parties
For sure,
still
for sure.
prevalent in Greece. But again, maybe it's an island to island thing. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you're all right in Santorini, but don't live in Athens or something like that. I feel like too, you have to have some money if you're going to live in Greece.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At least just looking at the pictures, you're like, wow, that all looks old and expensive. And the tourist stuff. And then if you move to a place like let's say you move to Athens, Greece, when do you when do you start to become a native and no longer just a tourist? Because originally when you're there, everyone's just going to assume you're a tourist, right? And they're going to
Yeah.
treat you like that. When do you like get your like your street cred where you're like, all right, I get the regular people deal.
Well, I think it's going to be like a Hawaii situation, right? Where it's like all the people who weren't born here, they live there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think, I mean, just in terms of like, it's not like here where we're making like new developments and building new houses everywhere all the time. Like you couldn't just pop up in a neighborhood. Like I'm sure those houses like pass down generations for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, and great grandma and your mom and everyone's living in the same house.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, like those kinds of countries, like Italy and stuff, they're very close knit. Um, yeah, huh. Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
We're
Spain.
we're not we're not in the worst part, you know.
Yeah, I
Our
mean, yeah, there's snow and cold. That's what we have to deal with. If you
yeah,
go out into the woods, there's going to be ticks out there. Just don't go out in the woods. Just I stay away from that. You know, the long grass, that's not for me.
yeah. I
So,
think, we got to bear with it for, the months that we do, but overall I think New York isn't as bad as it could be.
yeah, we're just talking weather here. We're just talking on, yeah, because I mean, you see that like all the time too. It's like, okay, it's the grass is always greener on the other side,
Yeah.
like we said before. Like, oh, it'd be nice to live on a beachfront property, but then you have to deal with the fact that eventually the beach might start to, go away and the water might creep up, and now your front living room is in the water, like, or
Yeah.
there's a horrible storm. Like, this is pros and cons everywhere. I'm sure right now there's a place that is perfect and we're not thinking of it. Hey, nope, nope. Puerto Rico gets hurricanes too.
Yeah.
They just had a
Yeah.
whole, and that's so you might not have power or anything for months on end. I was
Yep.
because somewhere in the islands down there has got to be nice, but they have to deal with devastating tropical storms all the time.
Yeah.
So no, and then if you go up north, the further up north you go away from those storms, just the colder it gets. It's just
Yep.
never. Uh, all right, well, we can dream. We can dream.
Yeah.
And you know what? At least it's not. We got snow on Thanksgiving, and that was it. That's really been
Yeah,
it.
essentially. I mean, last Saturday, we got some stuff at night, but it all melted after the rain. So,
Yeah. I think where we are in New York too, like I know out in Binghamton, they'll get a lot of snow. We won't get
yeah,
anything. And then certainly up north, like Lake Placid, and Lake George and everything, they get hammered. But you'll hear about it like, oh yeah, it's really bad up there, and we have nothing going on down here.
yeah,
So we're like in a pocket, and at least it's not Buffalo. That would be a
right.
whole nother experience.
Yeah,
They just got hammered recently. You see everyone's Instagram, stories and stuff like, look at we just made an entire igloo because we have that much snow
yeah.
that we can go into. It's like, yeah, I'm happy to not have to deal with that. But anyways, uh update. I got my results for level 4. We did not pass. So
No?
that's nope, we did not. So
Okay.
not I mean not it was 50-50, not entirely surprised. It's the hardest thing that you could
Yeah.
possibly do. I'm glad that I did it, because it's the whole thing. The whole thing is true on like all the work you had to put in to prepare for it makes you better. So I do feel better off because of that. Of course, it
Right.
would be nice to open up the email and it says, "Oh, pass," but that doesn't mean that we're done either because now the it's still the goal. It's still the thing
Hmm.
you're trying to get better at. So it's not like, oh shucks, I didn't do it. I'm quitting now.
Yeah.
Um, that's not the right attitude for it. It was definitely one of the more intense practical type of exams I've ever taken.
Hmm.
I took a lot of them in college. There's of course like the USAW practical stuff you have to do, which that was like on the level. So like comparing
Mm.
the two, I was like surprised. It's a little different because you have to in teaching a CrossFit class, you have to do way more work.
Yeah.
Like you have to control these people for an hour. You're just not just waiting for someone to come out and they're in the hot seat and you just have to make a decision. But like in terms of like the pressure you feel was pretty comparable, I would say. Maybe a
Mm.
little more on the CrossFit side, just because you do have to perform yourself
Yep.
versus just making a decision. but in terms of just like the gravity and the way it feels and stuff like that, they were pretty similar. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I used the reffing stuff as like prep for this. I'm like putting myself in high pressure situations, because when it popped up during the level 4, I was like, oh yeah, that's what that felt like.
Right.
This is similar, you know. So yeah, it was interesting experience. You know, I think it would be cool to recreate it. Like now that I have like been through it, like recreate it a little more in the gym. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
even like when I'm giving like evaluations myself, instead of like sitting off to the side and watching, maybe like move around a little more, you know, like because
Hmm.
that adds a whole nother element to it, where all of a sudden you're like making a decision. I'm like, hey Miguel, push your knees out to the left and right and stuff like that, and there's someone right here, you
Yeah.
know, and you can like you don't really see them, you just see the out like a glow of a red shirt, and like you can tell if there's movement, you know,
Yeah.
happening. And then you're
Interesting.
like wondering, you're like, I'm so certain right now that what I'm telling him is what needs to happen right now.
Yeah.
But it like makes you second guess yourself. And then you walk away and you're like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's what need to have happen there. And I stayed there the right amount of time. But seeing you look back and all you see is someone looking down, you know, taking some notes, and you're like, well, now I wonder, you know, like,
Right.
but it's the same thing with like the refereeing stuff for USAW. You pushed a button, and then the other people have a red and you had a white, and you're like, well, now
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that was a no lift. But like it just makes you second guess your entire life.
Yeah.
Wow. And every decision you've made up to that point on every little thing you do, because every little thing that you are doing is under scrutiny and review right now. And you just have to just go with it. You know, I just tuned it out for the most part, and I just taught class the way I would, but at like a way more like not like a higher level, and just like I spent way longer on things than maybe I would have in a normal class.
Right.
And because like you want to make sure that they see everything that you do, and you don't like it's not like, all right, Miguel's kind of this like, no, I'm not moving on until Miguel gets this
Right. Yeah.
kind of a deal, you know.
Interesting. Yeah. How so is it like so you went that week? Is it like this week we have this many people also doing their level 4, or is it like they just do it randomly throughout?
Mine was the last day that any were scheduled. There
Okay.
was one person. I went at 8:30 a.m. and noon, and then there was one other person going at 4 and 6 that day on Friday the 6th. And they did them all throughout the week.
Hmm.
This was out in Colorado. I think they did a couple at CrossFit Roots, and then they did a bunch of them at CrossFit Mafia. Another guy that I know, the gym owner of the place that I went to out in California, he was there taking it again,
Right.
and he took it on Thursday, and there was another person taking it that same day. Then earlier in the week, so I think they just kind of like booked them all,
Yeah.
so they don't. Because I mean, like you still, if you're CrossFit, you still have to pay the evaluators to go. So it's better to just have them do them all in one
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
than to have like, hey, you got to go in December, November, blah blah blah. So I think there was like a couple week block where they were doing a bunch of them.
Interesting. Yeah. Do they give what are like the stats essentially of like how many people pass it in like a certain go? How many people like how many times do people take them?
I mean, I don't know personally. That I do know that one person that I do know that has taken it. This past weekend was their fifth time taking it.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I would assume the fail rate is higher than the pass rate.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's like I feel like level 4 is like such a small group still
yeah.
that yeah, interesting.
And there's two different classes of level 4. There's the level
Yeah.
4s that were grandfathered in from the old level 2. And I think back then you had to teach like kind of like like you do in the breakout groups, like in the little you get in a circle, teach everybody how to deadlift, you know, like at the level 1 or level 2s. I think that's what the level 4 or old level 2 was, and then they turned that into the level 2s or
Hmm.
into the level 4s. What the old level 2
Interesting.
was, that's what it was. You went
Right.
there,
Yeah.
you taught that, and then they critiqued you. And the stories I used to hear is that you used to go in the office, and then most people would come out in tears afterwards because you would get just torn apart by Dave Castro and Nicole Carroll and whoever else was there doing the evaluations. Um, so now, yeah, I think most people, the majority of people, I think don't pass.
Hmm.
I would be interested to see out of the. I know for the mentorship group that I'm a part of, I think we think that there were 6 of us that took it. I'm not sure this past week. I'm not sure what anyone else's results are. I just know what mine are.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. I haven't seen. I mean, I would have posted right away
Oh yeah.
on
Yeah.
social media. So I
Yeah.
haven't. I haven't seen any flags going up. So that I don't know what to think of that. People might
Hmm.
just, they may not be like me, but so that I don't know yet what other people have gone through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a definitely an interesting experience. You're with a group of people that you don't know, which I've been practicing doing that. Um, that part didn't really throw me off too much. I was happy that I at least by the time we were done with the whiteboard brief, and then through midway through the warm up, I knew everybody's name.
Yeah.
So I was at least happy about that. That way I could at least say, "Hey Miguel, do this" from across the room, and I'm not like trying to look at your name tag. So that was one of my big goals on that. Um, the lesson planning was challenging because I got my workouts, and normally if you give me a workout, oh, I'll do this for the warm up. I'll this is how long it's going to take. Here's where I'd want to have everybody. I got these workouts that I've coached before, and I'm like, I forgot how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all of a sudden one day you come in to snatch, and you're like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I completely since Monday I completely forgot how to do this. So I think that's just part of like the psychological part of like this whole evaluation thing. Like all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do now or what I would want to do because now it seems like everything I'm putting on paper, it's like, well, I don't like this might not work, or this might not be a thing that showcases what I want to show, like
Yeah.
you start second guessing what you're putting on the paper. I don't know if this will be effective, even though I feel like this would be effective in any other class that we're
Yeah.
doing. But it definitely feels like not a normal class,
Yeah.
that you would go through.
Hmm.
Especially when they count you down. They do a little speech, and then they're like, and 3, 2, 1, and then you just go into the whiteboard brief.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah, it's good that you got it out there. It's out of the way so your 2024 is clear.
oh gosh, I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
But after that morning, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was more like, oh, I can't wait to be done. Like I just
Yeah.
can't wait. I actually can't wait to be getting back on the plane to come back to Albany.
Hmm.
Like and just have nothing on the schedule because this has been a crazy busy year. Like on just terms of everything going on with all the weightlifting meets, the barbell club's 10-year anniversary, all the little events at the gym, um, the national rep stuff, which means being worked to death by USAW at the Arnold and at nationals, just to cram it all in, just every my own fitness goals and stuff like that. It's just been a crammed year, and I really want 2025 to be a chill year, just a
Yeah.
relaxing year. I say that now, but then because I forget, because you forget, Miguel, if you're a crazy person, you
Hmm.
forget, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna be normal. We're gonna chill, and all of a sudden something pops up, and it's like, cowabunga, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm already at that stage where I keep on just signing up for things that I'm like, oh yeah, these are gonna come up. Like,
Yeah,
and they're all for next year. Like, whether it be concerts, like trips, all that stuff. And I'm like, I should actually start putting these things in my calendar. I know they're a long ways away, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm like, I have something at the end of February now. I have something in March. I have May, June already. Like,
It adds up,
yeah,
and it's like, I mean, can you imagine having kids and having all of their events and stuff like that? You know,
yeah,
like Josh, I think this year is just getting into all of that. We're like, oh, Declan has a hockey game every Saturday and stuff like that. So it's like, so we're making ourselves busy, voluntarily. At least,
right.
we're not in that situation where it's like, oh, I have someone else's stuff that I need to do, outside of
Hmm.
like if people are doing a meet, but that's still like work. So yeah, I tell myself that too. And it's at this point right now when you're signing up for stuff, you're like, oh, it's not happening until June. But then when it starts to get closer, you're like, oh man, that it really would have been nice to have that Saturday off, But
Right.
I have to go to a concert now, and like, do I have to pack and drive and work to get there, and then when you're there, you enjoy it. But it's just that
Yeah,
moment right before it where you're like, you know what? If I would have known how I'd feel at this point or what the rest of the year had been like, just a Saturday off is so valuable. And it's tough when you fill them up in advance
definitely.
because it's not just a Saturday. I mean, Sunday's affected too. You're going to be exhausted Sunday.
Yeah. And then, like, should I leave work early on Friday? Should I take Friday off so I can get there earlier so I can do something? If I'm going to be in this city, should I get a day in the city before, or should I just go straight for the concert or whatever event and go right back home? And yeah, there's a lot.
Yep. Yep. And if you're brave enough to do that stuff during the winter, oh, it's snowing now. It's bad weather. And now I paid for this back in November. I have to go.
Yeah, literally the last thing I did was it's end of February. It's in Toronto. And I was like, that's a long drive, but that's like, I can do that drive easily. And then I went, oh, yeah, it's end of February. So either it could be completely clear and completely fine, or it's going to be the worst storm ever. So I'm like looking at the protections in the ticket. They're like, you can do winter weather protection. And I'm like, all right, I'll add that in. It was only a couple more dollars. But I'm like, what does it really cover? Because what if there's a storm in New York and not in Toronto? Like, you know,
Yeah.
but
I don't rent a car, flights, any kind of protection, buying a toaster warranty. I don't do any add-ons ever. No add-ons. Although I've learned my lesson this time. I've decided when I get a rent a car, I'm just going to just yes, I'll pay for the gas refill thing. Just because
really,
I've only done it a couple times. Normally I'll just refill it myself.
hmm,
you know, but not every airport rent a car thing is created equal where the gas station's right there. And this time I couldn't find the gas station and so I just drove it there. I'm like, just add it on that or whatever it is that you people do. Um, so actually I was going to go into the rent a car place to ask them, where is the gas station? But as soon as you drive in, they check you in and they're like, oh,
yeah,
you can't leave now. I'm like, well, crap. I didn't know that. So I've decided I will, since it happens so rarely, I will just do that. You know,
hmm.
uh, in
And I mean,
Pittsburgh,
it
I
saves you
I
time.
Ubered. It does, yeah. Oh, one less thing to worry about, right?
Yep.
Less headache. In Pittsburgh, I did the Uber thing because I didn't want to have to do a rent a car. Should have done a rent a car because Uber
Hmm.
was crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But I hadn't traveled since I think before 2020. So I was like, oh
Hmm.
no, I normally just I would hop in an Uber. I didn't realize Uber is like crazy expensive now
Yeah.
because it'd been a while since I Ubered. So now that I've figured out all my travel stuff, I will just one get the rent a car. Two, I will pay for the refill gas and the toll thing, the automatic toll thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I did do that at least. Which I'm glad I did because I went through a ton of tolls driving through Denver,
Yeah. And the
out
the
there in
price for
Colorado.
the add-on isn't bad either.
No, no, not at all. And I did learn that if you you have to check the place that you rent cars from, because some of them, they require a credit card to put on file to take the car. And I booked through Expedia, so I didn't know any of this. I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'll just show up and give them my card. I only have debit cards. I don't have a credit card. So
Mm,
they're like, oh, we can't give you the card unless you have a credit card. And they're like, you're gonna need to call Expedia and get a refund for the rental car, and also go find a new rental car place that will give you that will just let you put a debit card on file. So I went to Avis after that and got a new car, and I called Expedia, and they refunded me the rental for through the package. So it all
nice.
worked out. It
Yeah.
was they helped me out. They're like, oh, we're so sorry about that, blah blah. But I'd never heard about this. You have to have a credit card. You can't just use your debit.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of it. Um, hmm. I mean,
Yeah,
I did
someplace.
use a credit card last time only because I used my credit card points for the rental car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So all the things that I'm learning now for travel. So I gotta make sure I book through the right place and that they'll accept what I have.
Hmm.
It's like you don't think about that. You're like, oh, I'm like, I'm trying to give you money right now, and plus,
Yeah,
didn't I already pay for this? And they're like, yeah, I paid Expedia, and they're like, but we want to put a card on file just in case. I'm like, but I mean, I
yeah.
have a card right here, you know, but they wouldn't take it.
Hmm.
So, and I'm very polite. I don't want to make a scene. I was just like, all right, fine. There's nothing I can do about it right now, Miguel.
Yeah,
They're not going to give me the car. And I've been in the airport and seeing people have meltdowns and stuff like that. I get that, but the thing is, they're not going to give in. Like, it's not going to
right.
happen.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do on their side too, where they're like, ugh.
Yeah, and like, I understand the guy or the lady behind the computer screen right now. They're not thrilled to be here right now either. Like, this is the job that they're doing. They're trying to help you the best they can. They didn't create this problem. It's the computer has limitations. It makes no sense to yell at them and escalate this even further. The
Yeah,
the last time I was at the airport, not this trip, there was a huge scene just before I got there. So I got to hear the TSA drama, because I was sitting right there and I'm like, oh, headphones off. What are they talking about?
yeah.
And the one guy was talking about, like, oh yeah, no, we're not done yet. Like, they're never going to fly again. And like, I was like, oh man, like, that is not the conversation I want having to have happen
People
after I
don't think
leave.
about it, but there is a no-fly list.
Yeah. And I don't know what had happened, but like, they were still going on about it. It may have ended 5 minutes before I got there, and they were talking about how, like, they are going to make sure they are not done with this person, and like, you
Hmm.
never want to be in that situation.
Nope.
It's like at the restaurant. If the food isn't right, it's great. I'm enjoying it so much. You don't have to take it back. Do you send things back, Miguel?
I've never had to. I always think everything, even when I go to like a fancy place, like the great meals that I've had are, I would say, few. Most are just fine.
Yeah.
Like food is usually good to me. So that's
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
That's
Yeah,
good.
I've never really had those type of I've definitely seen stuff where it's like, "Oh, that's just not even what you ordered."
Yeah.
And yeah, there's that. But like, "Oh, this doesn't." I've sat with people and they're like, "This just doesn't taste like what I thought it would. Can I get something else?" And
Ooh.
they're like,
Oh no.
Yeah, and we'll take it off your bill." And I'm like, "Good for
All right.
you."
Cool. You're brave. Yeah. I
Yeah.
uh I don't know. I've worked in a kitchen before, and when things got sent back, I've seen things from the dishwashing room, things that magically fall on the floor and then make their way back on the plate and stuff. And like, after having worked in a restaurant, Italian restaurant, um, you have a lot more you have respect. You know what they're going through back there, and yeah, I won't send anything back. I don't
Yeah.
trust it to begin with. And whenever you go to those fancy restaurants, I've always noticed the appetizer and like side pieces sometimes are better than like the actual meal. You ever you
Hmm.
ever like, you order an amazing appetizer, and then you get the main course and you're like, I wish I would have just got another one of those. Like, that was
Yeah.
way better than, like, somehow you guys couldn't cook this steak right, or it's just I would have gotten a better steak at Texas Roadhouse, but that appetizer dish was phenomenal. Like you put
Yeah.
all your effort into the wrong thing. So yeah. Anyway, anywho, uh, we'll try again. We try again. We'll keep trying to get better. We got to get you, Shaf, and Josh level threes. That's the next
Well,
project.
we still got to get our level twos.
Wait, what? You're not level two?
No, what?
What?
Shy asked the same thing yesterday, and I was like, when would we have done that? We
I
kind of just got our level ones.
Wow. This whole time I've been
We've had
thinking
our
you
level
guys are
ones for
level
what,
twos.
like 2 years now?
Okay, yeah. Josh is a level two.
Yeah,
Okay, all
Josh
right.
has
Well,
been, yeah.
all right. Well, we gotta get you guys level twos then. Wow, I had no idea. If someone would have asked me, I would be like, yeah, we have. They're all level twos. Yeah, I would have totally totally been wrong. Maybe it's just because of like all the practicings and stuff that we do and
Right,
things that we
yeah.
talk about. I just assumed you guys were level twos. Wow, already. Okay, well, that's the next one. Josh, level three. That's
Yep.
that's next goal. We gotta get Josh level up, level three. But yeah, so we'll keep at it, and I look at it as a this has been it was my carrot at the end of the year type of a thing to pull me through the year. This time last year, I would not have been able to do it.
Yeah.
I would not have been able to walk. I would have not have been able to demo anything at all. So like when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, this is a big win because like I had to like rebuild my body to the point where I could do any of these things. And some
Yeah.
of the stuff I was demoing were off my fist, because I still can't go flat on
Yep.
this hand. And I got an applause. And I was like, oh, thank you, thank you. So like we we at least had a lot of fun in those classes. The athletes, I guess, were giving a lot of positive feedback to the gym owner, and I got a job offer because of that. Which is one
Nice.
thing that I told Josh I wanted to do way back on the podcast. I want to coach such an awesome class that they want to hire me back. So I accomplished that goal, But like in like the criteria, that's not in the rubric.
Hmm.
That's not on the rubric. And then one athlete gave me a nice compliment saying, I want to go to Albany CrossFit, so if I'm ever in Albany, I want to drop into your gym. Like she has such a good time. So and also I fixed a lot of movement. We were fixing our butt off, so if you all right, I didn't get it, but at least the people got a lot out of it. Like I
Yep.
would feel way worse if they didn't have fun and we didn't make positive change with some of the movement,
Yep.
and that's I think they do send you a diagnostic on things that you could do better. So I'll be interested to see that on like, all right, well here, all right, let's work on these things. But it's like, all right, if I fix your chicken wing on something, not that I had to fix any of those, and you do it beautifully, like you hope that someone saw that,
Yep.
in the moment. So it's an interesting dynamic of a test. I think it's a perfect test. Like the workouts I got, I was like, yes, that is a perfect evaluation test on like you can pull so much out of that to see, if it's pass or fail. And the it's perfect for CrossFit because the test itself is unknown and unknowable, like
Yep.
on all the things that could pop up. I heard that one person who did the evaluation, they had a pregnant athlete in class, and that's probably not something they have to do or deal with hardly ever at their gym.
Yep.
Maybe I had someone who just had a heart attack, and we had to keep the heart rate at a certain point. So it's like things you normally don't experience in just your core group of people that come to class. So I think it's perfect the way that they do it. You know,
Yeah.
I would say like on the outside looking in, and then being a participant, be like, yeah, that's a perfect test. That's how I would want to be tested. That's how I would hope to build that test if I had to
Hmm.
make one.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. Well, level two for Miguel. We'll get that going eventually here. Maybe that'd be a nice 2025 goal. Do that
Yeah, potentially.
potentially. So all right, other things in the news. weightlifting stuff. So there's our CrossFit news. Is there anything else going on in the CrossFit world before we dive into
Well,
weightlifting?
I mean, yeah, there's is CrossFit just gonna be High Rocks now? There's also
What is High Rocks? You have to help me with this.
High Rocks is like I would call it an endurance competition.
Mhm.
Um, it's a lot of running. It's all indoor, but it's a lot of running. And then you have think a Spartan race, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, there's running, that is the whole thing, and then there are stations where you have to do work. I
Mhm.
believe the stations are there's like a farmer's carry where you're like in like a snake type of thing. So you have to do a
Ooh,
bunch of turns in it. There
I
is
do
a
like that.
sled. Yeah, there's a sled push and pull. Um, there are burpee broad jumps, and there's wall balls, and I think rowing as well.
Okay.
Um,
That's
I don't,
it.
I don't, I don't know the exact distance, but I believe those are all the stations. And I know that it's 100 wall balls, and I think that's the last thing. Um,
Oh,
but
so
yeah, the
it's
stations
a
and
limited number of movements. Like this is the sport.
yeah,
Wall
so it's
balls,
like
rowing.
fixed distance, fixed amount of either meters or whatever on the rower, uh, down and back for the sled push and pull, maybe multiple times, but I know down and back. And then yeah, the farmer's carry is it's a little snake kind of loop thing, and burpee broad jumps it's one distance. So yeah, but yeah,
But
it
like
takes people
it,
like go ahead.
they're not like, so you know the event's the same every time, and there's no like, all right, now we're gonna do at this High Rocks event deadlifts, pull-ups. Like,
Nope, it's the same every time.
oh,
In like there's like pro division and there's just open, and then there's also like you can do it as a team. You can do a mixed team or a same sex team or you know individual. And I think the top times that I've seen so far are like about an hour.
hmm.
Um, so yeah, very much endurance. People are like going all out. Apparently, it's big into running, but I've been seeing a lot of CrossFit athletes kind of switching over, and a lot of CrossFit gyms kind of becoming High Rocks gyms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If I was like an elite CrossFit Games athlete, I'd be like, I'm just gonna go win that money. Like I'll just show up and
Well,
like crush it. But that's
I
not
don't know if
happening.
you remember years ago when they had the big CrossFit games with the national champions.
Oh
They
yeah,
also had a guy who got like a special invite. Um,
I do remember that. Yeah.
Hunter McIntyre. He's like the High Rocks like world champion, multiple time world record holder, and he continues to be. Um, and CrossFitters have done it here and there, um,
Hmm.
but it's a different animal. It's like completely endurance. Like we're more rounded, and this test it's known. It's very known because you're doing the same thing every time, and you just have to be
So you
better.
can really train for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think? All right, like, do you think if like a Tia, like some of the unbeatable people, just like if
She's
like,
doing
all
it
right, could
tomorrow.
Matt? Oh, she is.
High Rocks
Who's
Melbourne.
the women's world champion, or is it just one person who has the best time?
I'm not sure. I know. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it. Um, I don't.
She's like, I'll just
As
go
good as
warm
she
up.
is, she's
I'll go do
not.
this.
She's not that type of athlete. Like she's great, obviously, and I think that she'll be up at the top. But it's kind of that standard deviation thing where, you know, let's say she's in the top 20 her first time doing it, to then
Hmm.
be the number one would take such a long time. Um, but yeah, it's been interesting, especially with the state of CrossFit, the organization, what athletes have kind of been doing.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
It seems to me like hearing, so there's only those stations and whatnot. Like it's just like, all right, James McDermott created a new sport of all the things that he likes to do and is good at, and put it together. And he doesn't like the sprint; he likes the long event. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call it high rocks. And this is
Yeah.
I like to do wall balls, burpee broad jumps, rowing, running, and what is that it? Right? So I like to push the sled and farmer's handles. And I'm gonna make the things that I like to do specifically. I hate doing pull-ups. I hate doing, barbell movements, and I'm gonna make it my own sport. That's
But I
kind
mean,
of what it
yeah,
sounds like.
that's essentially what I mean. When you think about endurance athletes, there's always, all right, there's an ultra, then there's a super ultra, then there's this. With triathlons, there are biathlons because people are like, I'm not swimming or I'm not biking.
Yeah.
There's always, I think, in that kind of style, you can always make it something.
And
But
isn't
yeah,
like grid league still around? And that's like barbell ladders and sprinting.
yeah, grid league is just, yeah, it favors that more, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's bound to be these like offshoot sports and stuff like that. Um, yeah. I do know I've seen some things on like people don't like high rocks. It's like the new thing. But like it's always interesting to me when people from CrossFit hate on new things because it's like we've been there and and we still have to defend sometimes like on like being the new thing, like go all the way back to high rep snatching when and weightlifting movements when that was first starting, and everybody and their mother in weightlifting freaking out and being like,
Yeah.
that you can't do that, that's not the blah 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 blah. And so it's like I hate when the I hate when like when because I've seen it happen within weightlifting too, like being like the haters when you were the one hated on, like
Hmm.
so like I don't know, I don't like it when that happens. It's like, hey, you could approach this in the way that you wish people would have approached CrossFit when CrossFit was new. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like we see a new kid and we're trying to stand with the bullies and also point at them. But then the bullies kind of turn and look at us and be like, you're not with us, though.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like you were just there being bullied. It's like,
in
yeah,
fact, we're
that's
still going to bully you. We're just bullying both of you.
yeah, that was I remember like a perfect example was I was a part of a weightlifting community that was often the one being attacked, and then Louis Simmons put out a book on weightlifting, and then they started attacking Louis, who's
Mm,
strength like at least listen to the man. I mean, if you're
yeah.
not going to listen to Louis Simmons, at least talk or at least read his book and see what he has to say on it, because he is big on the research, and a lot of the stuff that they do or did at Westside was from the research from Russian weightlifting to begin with.
Hmm.
He just applied it to this thing. So it's like I always like it always boggles my mind to hear that. It's like you were the one just being, berated on the forums for being wild and crazy and stuff. And now you're going to attack this person for having a unique opinion when
Right.
your opinion was already unique on the scene. It's just, I don't understand.
Yeah. But yeah, that seems to be kind of a shift as people are uncertain of their further participation in CrossFit as a CrossFit entity. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes from that, um, what athletes do or where they do it. Um, yeah, so it'll be an
When
interesting CrossFit season coming up, I would say.
for affiliates, I don't think there's anything wrong to dabble in it because one, you already have the equipment. It's it could any of those things together could easily be a wad in your gym, like a workout that popped up with burpees and wall balls and row. We're going to do that in 2025. I guarantee you that combo will come up in some way. So
Hmm.
it's no different than when like a affiliate or a gym has a Spartan program,
Right.
or
Yeah.
or like a club, an endurance club. We used to have one.
Hmm.
We it's no different from us having a barbell club affiliated with USA Weightlifting. It's just a
Right.
different sport. Like so, yeah. I think it's fair for affiliates to do it. It might bring in more members to their gym, especially you might get more of the endurancey running crowd coming
Right.
in, and then those people could cross-pollinate a little bit. Like, yeah, I would like to get a pull-up. That'd be cool. Well, let's talk about it. Come on over here.
Yep.
I don't think it's good to be closed-minded about it,
Mm-hmm.
if people are. Maybe people aren't. I just assume they are because I've seen some like hatery things about it. But then again, I
Yeah,
don't know a whole lot
definitely.
about high rocks.
I think more when it started, it seems like now there is a shift. Like I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to see, even in our area, I assume, like gyms specifically having high rocks rooms or stations or, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's cool. I think it's fine. And if they have their big high rock sports events, it's like it's so different than the games to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different than any level of the games. The open, the the semifinals. I think that's what they're doing next. I don't know. I actually don't know what the second portion of it is
We'll see.
anymore. Um, so it's like, I think it's fine because it's such a different animal. Like they have 6 events that are always the same. You know what it's for, versus we're gonna do muscle ups, we're gonna do barbell stuff, we're gonna do a strength event, this or that event. Maybe eventually. I think. Do you think it would be a smart move eventually someday, CrossFit Games, to have a High Rocks event within it, like a little cross pollination partner thing?
I mean, you could. I mean, they essentially already do. I mean, you can just make
Yeah,
a CrossFit workout that is those things.
an
But
hour long.
yeah, I mean, it's a part of it, right? It's a part of that domain that you should be ready for. Um, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it is kind of cool. I mean, you have powerlifting, which is its own sport with 3 of the movements that we use. You
Yep.
have weightlifting, that's its own sport with 2 of the movements that we use. Now you just have another sport with 6 of the movements that we use in a very fixed, structured way. And it's like a cross is just an amalgam of all these other things, right? Swimming,
Yeah.
it's part of it. Running, biking, all the stuff. A marathon row, those are all like the rower itself is its own sport. It's like
Right.
not just rowing on the water, but rowing on an erg is a sport
Hmm.
that we just use in ours. So, all right, I think that's cool. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Uh, hopefully people will be nice to the new kids on the block. Because
Right.
I don't view them as competition in a threatening way. That like it's gonna stop people from doing CrossFit. I don't even know how you would have a High Rocks class, or is there even such a thing?
Well, people don't train it in like we're just gonna do it. They train it very similarly to how you would just train CrossFit or any type of
Okay,
strength training. So yeah,
you're gonna do sets of wall balls, work on wall ball technique and
exactly.
strength, do
Yep.
heavy arms. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like
I think
even I've seen people do like Bulgarian split squats, deadlifts, all that because it helps train everything. So yeah,
yeah. Hey, we know all that Bulgarian split squats.
right.
Have the Bulgarian split squats that we've been doing in off season here, has it fixed your lunge? Has it like made it so you can lunge now?
Um, Probably has made it a little bit more comfortable, I would say.
I mean, were you surprised? Like, all right, we did the hokey pokey, which the hokey you don't know. It's a squat clean, a lunge with the right leg forward.
Well, to continue, hokey pokey complex, squat clean, lunge with the right leg, lunge with the left leg, and then a thruster to finish it off. Um, yeah, typically not very great at the thruster, but felt a little bit more comfortable.
Did you run on? Just cut
Yeah,
me off. Oh, okay.
I
All right.
just finished the explanation of it, but
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I a year ago, would you have been able to do that?
it wouldn't have looked like that. Yeah, the especially a forward lunge, the fact that I was able to just kind of go right into it, even like
Yeah.
no hesitation to go into it, and then standing right back up. It's definitely not something that would have happened before.
Did you notice that? Like, I mean, I know it's like when like a movement is hard like that, you have to kind of like psychologically get prepared for it first, like what it might feel like, and then do it. Did you just absent-mindedly go into the lunge?
Yeah, because yeah, it I could tell that it wasn't going to be as much of an issue. Like I even debated bringing in knee sleeves for the day because, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I usually slam my knee because I don't have as much like stability in it. Let's see. Well, moral of the story is to do your Bulgarian split squats. All right. Back again.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can. Yeah. Yeah, my internet's freaking out right now. We're
Yeah.
we're back to so. Anyways, as you're saying.
Well, yeah. I told them moral of the story is to do Bulgarian split squats. Yeah, more unilateral work just to build strength and everything, and that's I can tell that that's definitely been helping,
Yeah,
and just
I want to keep
confidence with
them.
one leg. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to keep them going, at least for day 4 in the new cycle for the new year. I think it makes sense to keep the momentum we have going on them. I think it's helping a lot of people, and it's nice to kind of like finally find an effective exercise because we've tried single leg things before. Um, we've done lunge cycles, we've done things like that, but this seems to have worked the most. And we tried a lot of different variations. Was there any one variation you felt was the best, or just getting one leg up on a block and doing them was enough?
yeah. I think overall, as the weeks went on, they just overall felt easier because you kind of get an idea of where everything should be. Um, Maybe like a front rack carry was probably the more effective one. I do think just both arms at the side or even just one arm at the side is also fine there or goblet style. I think the overhead kind of gets into a higher difficulty
Yeah.
with other limiting factors, but it can also be effective in different ways.
Yeah, like the level of focus in everyone's eyes and face when we were doing the overhead Bulgarian split squat
Yeah.
was definitely different than the other ones. You had to like, it just brings in that balance and instability. Like everyone was just like an arrow going down, that like just staring forward, not
Yeah.
trying to move anything extra. It would be interesting to eventually get to the point where we're doing barbell Bulgarian split squats,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
overload. But that's down the line. We'll keep working with
Hmm.
with the dumbbells and stuff like that. So I do want to keep them alive in the new cycle coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we got I don't even know how, I can't even remember now how we got onto this topic.
Uh, what High Rocks training looks like.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the landscape of it, you know. Maybe maybe we'll do it for fun high rocks event, you know, at the gym.
Yeah,
Because you already know what the event is. We could just do one. You know, we have all the stuff. We have farmers handles and everything. So I don't know if um, we'll have a class for it anytime soon. I do see there's at least one gym in New York, Warwick, Warwick Weightlifting. I
mm,
think they have a High Rocks program now. I do
interesting.
remember seeing that at some point. So I'll have to
Nice.
ask Ryan next time I see him how that's going. Pick his brain about it. So that's CrossFit. All right, it's still going. We're still in it. Weightlifting has had some changes. We have new weight classes.
Yep.
How are you feeling about that?
Um, a lot of thoughts there. I know we're not at the full, you know, fruition of it until they become effective, but there are so many different implications of now there are less weight classes. How many weight classes are we getting in the next Olympics? So, of those smaller choices of weight classes, which ones are gonna even get picked? We're
Yeah,
not in this new quad yet, so at Worlds, and people are figuring out what they're doing, if they're retiring, if they should continue, try to make another Olympics, and people trying to kind of build themselves up in these what were already new Olympic classes, and they might have to change again and kind of figure out which one is the best one for me.
do you think a big change in the sport like this makes it an easier decision for some athletes who have been in the game for a while? Be like, all right, yeah, I'll call it here. You know, I'll
Yeah,
go out with the old weight classes.
I think 100%. I think that's what I saw. There was already kind of a changing of the guard happening this last Olympic quad, I would say. And that was a lot of people doing like their last hurrah of, you saw a mix of older athletes and younger athletes. And now with this change again, I don't know if we see those older athletes because really what's the you build up for 4 years and you're like, I'm a 96. I'm the Olympic
Yeah,
champion at 96. It's no longer an Olympic class. So you either have to go up to 102 or drop down to 89. You go for it. It either goes your way or it doesn't. And then the weight classes are changed again. And you have to decide, okay, maybe they're going 96 again for the Olympics or whatever it is in the 90s for men. Um, Maybe they're doing that and I can go back, or I can just call it here and just lift where I'm at.
yeah. Well, and I don't know, like, so the Olympics took 8 categories currently, right? 8, and now we're down to 8. Are you thinking that if that's different, we could be seeing like, oh, only 6 weight classes go, which that would wreak havoc across the
Right.
board, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm not
From like a
sure.
fan perspective,
Yeah, I'm not
we
sure
weren't
if
going to see
that
a lot of
was
people.
the key to it as well, of just knocking it down to 8 to make it so that all of them can go, no matter
Yeah.
what class you choose, or yeah, I'm not sure, but it's the spacing is different and people have to make like big decisions.
Well, like, let's look at the men's class, just an example. It's 60, 65, 71, 79, 88, 98, 110, 110 plus. So if you weren't going to take all of them, okay, if you were going to pick between 60 and 65, if you picked 60, then you're not going to take 75, but you take 71. That's it's a big gap in between,
Right.
but I guess that could work. And then from 71, if you don't take 79, but you take 88, it's a huge gap between those classes. So yeah, like how do you pick? And then like 98, 94, 96, 98, those have been one's in the mix, how do you not take 98?
Yep.
And then how do you not take 110 and 110 plus? I kind of feel like you have to have those three. Like it's
But
a
I
really
mean,
hard decision.
this past Olympics, it was the Olympic classes were 61, 73, 89, 102, and then 102 plus.
Oh, they did a 102 plus.
Because remember,
Okay,
they take out that last one every time,
got
and
it.
they just make it the one before it and then plus. Yeah,
Okay, all right. So I guess then it would be the comparable would be 60, 71, 88, and then I guess you go 110, 110 plus,
yeah.
right? I don't know. That still seems like some people are gonna have to bulk up a little bit.
But yeah,
Um,
that's the issue every time where it's like
because
you're either
one
gonna have to
Olympics,
drop or yeah,
yeah, like one Olympics, you had to be if you were a 96, you had to go up to 102. Okay, no problem. But if you're like a 96 now, they're not going to take 98. You got to go up to 110 or
yeah.
110 plus. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, hey, the pros aren't the only ones that have to make tough decisions. We're going to have to make tough decisions, at our level here too, on what we're going to go. I mean, I don't know. For you, the 65 might just work out perfectly, right? Like,
Right. I mean, when I first started, I had like wished that there was a men's 64 class because that was essentially right where I was. Um,
mhm.
but at the beginning, of course, cutting to 61 was fairly easy, but as I got more comfortable at a higher weight, it was harder. So I'd say I sit now more comfortably at like 66, 67. Um, I have been, there is a plan for me to cut down even before this change, just to feel like more comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think outside of international at a like local meet level, I do think that this will force people, hopefully, to make smarter decisions with weight classes. And by that I mean just lift where you're at.
Yeah.
Because some people are going to be smack dab in the middle and it's going to stink because they're going to feel like, all right, I should fill out this weight class or I should drop to the one before it. But if you are, you have to remember like what is this sport to me? Like where am I trying to get? And if it's not like national competitor USA team or above, like maybe it's not worth it to kind of put your body through stress and put it somewhere that it's not comfortable.
Yeah. Or the psychological stress, you can't even enjoy the event that you're going to do because you're so worried about making weight. And then you go to the local meet and there's one other guy in your weight class. And it's like, what was it all for?
Yeah,
Like I could have just had
exactly.
fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you tightened things up, I guess in your diet, you would naturally fall right around 65? Or are you saying that you're right now, current day Miguel, is probably a 71?
No, no. I'd say 65 is more than comfortable. This has been like a
Okay.
purposeful, I'm eating more this past few months.
Uh-huh.
Um, so no, 65 would be more than comfortable. I've weighed 65 this past year with like full clothes on. So um, yeah, 65 wouldn't be a problem for me. Oh, looks like you're stuck again. Okay, potentially back.
Hear you.
Okay,
There we go.
yep, cool.
We're back. Unstable internet connection. Got to figure this out. But anyways, so you're comfortably there.
Yep,
You've been eating a lot more. go to the AO finals where you would have had to not go like last couple months.
Yeah, and I think that that's all been a part of my like recovery too, of like heal everything up. Let's eat more, let's get more cushion, you know, and things have been feeling better overall. But no, I feel heavier. So yeah, I'm
Stronger.
gonna let my body, yeah, to a degree, but I don't know if it's like, I feel like the difference that like 2 or 3 kilos would make
Uh-huh.
um, wouldn't take away from my strength, but I think it would help a lot in terms of like me doing CrossFit more and other stuff where I feel more comfortable moving quickly and like for a
Well,
lot of reps and all that.
and I mean, before, if you were to diet down, you'd have to go all the way down to below 61 or below.
Yep.
Like when you're maybe normally sitting around 64 to 66, somewhere's in there. But now if you're 67, 66, you just got to go down to 65,
Yep.
so like the that's going to be a lot less stressful on, I mean, because we were retiring from the 61 class. So it's
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
kind of good
60
that
kilos
they
will never see a glimpse of me. There's
yeah,
no shot.
the weightlifting powers that be have made that decision for you.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna put it down 1 more kilo, So yeah, that'll be a lot more and I think that's more manageable for you than it would be for the people you're normally in the mix with too.
Hmm.
So that'll be interesting too to see what the people that we normally battle with, where they decide to go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. Hmm. Well, your first meet in the new weight class will be state championships coming up here
Yep.
because we will no doubt be implementing these classes at that event. And I guess, unless you do one after it, your last meet at the current weight classes will be the regional, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's all I see in the future is the regional early next year. Maybe one before if there's like something small in the summer. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think either way, I'll be like in the 65 to 67 kilo range when I weigh in at the regional too.
Yeah,
So again, I'm not like trying to get ready for 65. It's just whatever my body's going to do is where I'll be.
that will be cool. You hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. That will be cool to see for the regional. I'm assuming you'll sign up as a 67, um, just to see when you step on the scale where it's at. Like if it's like, oh, it's 65.9. That's good to know, as like okay, this is where we'll be. And actually, I should probably look back at your last couple meets as a 67 to see where you actually weighed in at on how close to
Yeah.
65 we were,
It,
right?
it's been, the numbers have been trending up for sure. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, the first couple times, the first few regionals, um, definitely it was probably like 64, 63, 65.
Yeah. I mean, for you in these lighter weight classes, they did kind of iron out the gap there. Like it was 61 to 67 and
Yeah.
then 73. So it's like big and then small. But now we got 60, 65, 61. So it's a little more clumped together where people, I think, will be able to do what you want to do, which is like just kind of like be in a normal spot and not have
Yep.
to work too hard for it. We do have some people on our team that are going to have to make hard decisions because they did get rid of that 71 class that Renee and Jennifer were really typically within, and
Yeah.
now it's like for Jennifer, always kind of being right there might have to be more mindful than normal going into the meet, and Renee might have to put more effort into making a weight class because if we don't, it bumps way up,
Yep.
So like it does seem, I don't know, is it just me or does it seem a little trickier for some of these middleweight women's classes.
Yeah, it's interesting because usually I feel like it does somewhat favor those middling weight classes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think on the women's side, it kind of makes a weird kind of depending on like I guess where I see weightlifting athletes typically like sit at their like regular walking around weight. It does seem to kind of be more spread out in those
Yeah.
ranges than before, where I think that was kind of around where people kind of just sat. Um, so yeah, it'll be that's one of those examples of like big jump up or big jump down, or just sit in the middle of a weight class.
Yeah. And losing a weight class, it kind of hurts there too. Cause like Haley was doing 76, but then lately we've been 81. And 81 was that buffer between 76 and 87.
Yep.
But now it's going to go 77, which is okay, but then all the way up to 86. So it's like it's going to mix in all of those athletes together. So you might be, 79, but you're going up against, ladies that are 85 point whatever,
Yep.
or 86, where that wouldn't have happened before. There would have been another class within there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, interesting. And the lightweight women's classes. Nope, there's a 5 kilo jump there. So yeah, they are very similar to the men's jumps.
Do they still have the 49 for women's? Is that the first one?
So for the women, it's 48, 53, 58, 63, 69, 77, 86, and then 86 plus.
Hmm.
And some of these women's classes were before they did the recent change. These were like in 2015. These were the weight classes. There was a 58. There was a 48. A 48, I believe. There was a 69. I can't remember. I think there was a 53. So I think some of these are returning classes.
Hmm.
So the women do look like they have some returning classes. The men, I think there used to be some of those lightweight ones, like the 60
Was
or
there
65.
was there 98?
It was 94 before,
Hmm.
when I was getting into it. So like the early and mid 2010s, there was a 94, then it changed to 96, and now it's 98. It just keeps kind of that one keeps getting heavier.
Interesting. And then there was a men's 85 before, right?
Yes, I missed the 85. That was my jam, the
Yeah.
85. I was always comfortably within the 85, but then when it went down to 81, now I have to do a lot more work to get down to
Yeah.
81 or be with guys that are 89, which
Hmm.
is typically they're taller and way bigger. So, and now it's 88. So now like for me, let's say if I was very active, uh, I'd have to go down to 79, which is not like a normal walking around type of weight.
Yep.
That would be a lot of work to get down to there. And the next class after that just seems even further away, with it being a 71 instead of a 73.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think. Do you think it'll kick like a new excitement in the sport? Just anytime there's a change, there's like a everyone gets excited, and then there's of course going to need to be a year of competition that goes by for everyone to kind of figure it out.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we were alluding at before, where it's like these older athletes, is it worth it for them to continue? But I think, and in kind of the conversation with Worlds this year, like China sent their entire, I would call it their junior team, like their B team. We didn't see any familiar faces, but we saw a lot of kids, like 17 to like 22 was probably the oldest.
I
And
mean, they got to get them
these,
ready, right? They got to
right.
start getting them out there.
So maybe we see that these kids needed these weight changes. Maybe they're going to fit perfectly in these new weight classes. And we see this new group of athletes
Yeah,
who are just like, this is perfect. I love this.
yeah. And then they're like, all right, Lee Fabin, Shizi Young, it's been great. Here's another $10 million. Goodbye.
I mean, yeah, a lot of them already, um, yeah, Tian Tao after Thailand before the Olympics was like, well, this was my last one. Maybe I'll do some national competitions, but no international. Shizi Young was the same thing at the Olympics. At the Olympics, he was very much like, yeah, this is my last international competition.
Yeah,
So yeah, maybe it's time to bring in some of these junior athletes. China has an amazing roster of professional lifters. Like I think them and South Korea have the most of any other country.
wow.
So they just have a well of talent that they can pull from.
We need that going on here a little
We
bit.
do. I That's actually another thing. I will actually say, like, if you looked at who USA weightlifting had at Worlds this year, a lot of them are also younger athletes. Um,
That's good.
and maybe they're not at the talent level of the younger like Chinese or South Korean athletes, but they're building up weights. Like these American records are getting taken down a lot. Of course, we'll do the whole restructuring thing when the weight classes change, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the same idea where maybe these new kids on the block are perfect for these new classes.
Yeah. I mean, they whether they're like at that level or not, if they qualified or if they're like just the next right there, like you got to take them and get them over
Yeah,
there because if they have to start building that experience of being on those stages in those environments and like kind of like start to get over early on like, oh, it's that person, it's that you know, like
yeah,
get that out of the way now. Like we just finished a last Olympics. The next one's in 2028. Yes, 2028, which seems like forever from now.
yeah.
But we're gonna blink and it's gonna be 2030. Here in a
Especially
second.
with especially with new weight classes, that's going to take a while to like feel comfortable in them. So
Yeah.
you
Well, I
got
just meant
you got
in our
4 years.
lives, like in
Well,
our
yeah, that
just
too,
meant.
for sure. Let's hope these
But
next 4 years fly by.
yeah, yeah, that'd be nice, or they're the next 4 years,
Yeah.
like I saw the thing. There's like UFOs in the sky now, or something like that, and I'm like,
Hmm.
let's I'll just go back to watching The Righteous Gemstones. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the new show I started watching. It's okay. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know
I've
if
seen
I'm.
pieces.
See, I started watching it. Like I don't know if I'm a Danny McBride person. Like right,
Mm,
he's like the main guy. Like it's all these shows and people are like, oh, it's the funniest thing ever. And I don't know. I'll watch it and I'm like, all right, I don't know. I don't know if I'm. I don't know if he's my type of humor or flavor.
right.
I'm trying. I'm
Or
trying
like
though.
the right as the lead, you know? Like I love seeing clips from the show, but
Yeah,
imagining that as the whole show could be tough.
yeah. I do like John Goodman, and I do like the other guy who I can never remember his name. He
Yeah, but
was,
he's in everything. Yeah, and he's really funny
yeah,
in that too.
he was the ghoul in Fallout, and just like the hair is insane that he
Yeah.
has, and the glasses, and he's playing it so well. And it's like, um, Baby Billy is his name in the
Hmm.
show, but it's like, I guess once I watch this, it's only 3 seasons. Maybe I'll try the classic one, like Eastbound and Down or something like that,
Mm,
um,
yep.
that made him famous. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I figured this was a nice palate cleanse after The Wire, which is a very serious show. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just need that's like completely ridiculous, and then we're going to the next one. But yeah, yes, it'll be interesting what happens with the weight classes. I'm surprised that, or it's interesting that USA Weightlifting is going to implement them at nationals and all that stuff because people are qualifying now for nationals and will continue to qualify for nationals with the current classes. So I'm glad I don't have to worry about like how do you? All right, Miguel was a 59. Can he take his qualifying up to
Yeah.
65 now? What is the qualifying? I don't even know how does that work. I don't even know how it works.
I saw the email and it's kind of, yeah, it they got to do what they got to do. I think it's also because of the talent that they see in their younger athletes. So I think if they want to continue to build that, because our team has been looking really well.
Yeah,
Obviously, Olivia won Worlds
yeah,
this time around too, and I think they're really trying to make it easy to assemble a team and kind of get an idea, get that internal competition really going, so that we
yeah,
get the best athletes for next international meets coming up.
yeah. And she's got plenty more years of being on top. I mean, she won the Olympics, right? Right?
Yeah.
Didn't she go? So
Hmm.
Olympics, and so she just won Worlds. Worlds is going on right now.
Yeah.
Wow, dominant.
Yeah.
Wow. Where's? Do you know who the next person? That's the women's 76, right?
71.
So 71. She, she's got to go down to 69, which is okay, 2 kilos. I
Yeah.
don't see her going up to 77. Um,
She's competed as a 76 before, but as a light 76, meaning like
yeah,
72 or 73. So yeah, potentially.
yeah. So I don't know if that makes sense to go 77. So unless she's going to put on some muscle,
Yeah.
so more than likely she'll just go down. But I mean, and she's a professional, so that's not like okay, 2 kilos. We can figure. We have our team nutritionists, sports
Yeah.
scientists go
Yeah,
out to
because
her.
I think I've heard her say in interviews and stuff that 71 is like that's not an issue at all for her to get there.
We got there. Perfect. That's good. How any other medals on the USAW side for
Um,
worlds?
I don't think so. I think a lot of our athletes were like B and C session.
Oh, okay. No
Otherwise,
Hampton.
no, he didn't go. Um,
Okay. Coach Mary.
didn't go either, I don't believe.
West Kits didn't go.
No, so you've probably seen him at this point. There's like a football player, ex-football player, who's like smashing records right now as a
Oh,
109. Um,
really? I haven't
yeah,
seen this now.
so but he just went yesterday, I want to say, maybe B session. Um,
Hmm.
but no, I don't think we pulled off any more medals or anything this time around.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, to be honest, I have no idea what's going on with weightlifting. My life has been consumed with the level 4 stuff, and the only thing that kept me sane was The Wire. Like that
yeah,
was like just I'm gonna go into this universe and not think about things. So I have no idea what's going on with with any of it. So there's a
yeah.
football player. What team is he on?
No, meaning like probably just played college. Like he's still young.
Oh,
So
okay.
he discovered weightlifting like 2 years ago and is smashing records that we
Isn't
have
that great?
already.
Oh, is
Like
this
you
how
can
you do
see
it?
when he lifts that like his front rack isn't it's simply like not fully developed. Like he's a 109, so it's like it always
Yeah.
looks a little bit different, but you can tell that it's like it's newer.
He's got to get some front squats under his belt and get
Yeah,
comfy
but
holding that
he's
there.
so strong.
Hmm. What's his name? You know,
I could probably find it quick.
that I mean, those are the people that we need. See, that's the thing. Other countries, like with China, they have such a robust feeder system to find weightlifters,
Yeah,
but like we have the best athletes in the world who are living in multiple sports. They're
yeah,
just not in our sports. Like if they decided to, they would just have to decide. No, do you think this is true? That if we just decided as a country, you know what, our people in the NFL and college football and whatnot, our people in track, our people in basketball, baseball, all these like freak greatest athletes ever, if they just decided to do weightlifting, we would just take over. We'd be unbeatable. You think
Yeah,
it's
to a
possible?
degree, for sure. But again, like you gotta, it gets into the whole like, I am taking you now. I see
Well,
your
yeah,
potential. And I mean, there's no money in weightlifting, right? So
that's the
why
problem.
would these
That's the
people do it?
problem.
But his name is Colby Ferguson.
Okay, Colby Ferguson.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, we need to keep him. I mean, that's if we lose that guy, that's a ball dropped because he's
Well, so
probably
like,
a future
I don't know if you
Olympian.
saw, I mean, yeah, you must know, the new stipend, like kind of program, like A standard.
Yep.
So he just hit the A standard at Worlds. So like he's got that funding now.
Okay,
And that was what a lot of them,
that's
it
good.
seemed like these younger kids were trying to hit when they got there. Um, like Maddie Rogers bombed out, right? So like she lost her funding. But a lot of
Oh,
these
she went to
people were
Worlds.
like,
Okay.
yeah, a lot of these people were
I
like,
didn't.
go
Oh,
ahead.
continue. I was just gonna say I didn't realize. For some reason, I thought Maddie was like retiring or something. I didn't realize that she was gonna go another quad.
I don't know if it's for another quad, but at World, she's just I think she still went as a 76, right? Yeah, as a 76
Mhm.
instead of an 81 that she had to for the quad. So yeah.
If you're a 76 and they just bumped it to 77, you're like, yeah, that's
Right. Yeah.
that's a win. That's a win. That's if you're in one of those weight classes where that just happened, you're like, oh, that's great. Where they just bumped it up a kilo and that's your life a smidge easier. You don't have to go anywhere. That's that those people really lucked out on this whole thing with the weight
Yeah.
classes. Okay, so Maddie's still in it. Kate is did Kate retire?
Yes. I don't know how official it was,
Uh-huh.
but she was like, yeah, I am done with the sport. I think the same thing with Meredith Alwyn. Um,
Oh,
she
really?
went to
Okay.
Worlds. She went to Worlds, but I think she was like, this is my last competition.
Do you think I mean at some point, I guess you stop doing local meets, right? Like you just don't like you're just gonna follow yourself. You know, no one's gonna beat you. Like I don't know. I guess like if you're like one of these like Meredith Alwyn or Maddie, like I don't really hear about them doing local meets often. And plus, I guess if you are on the main competition cycle, that could be detrimental. You don't really need to do this, so you just
Yeah.
keep training. And then there's the national events. I don't know. How would you want to go out? Like, would you want to do one more competition and put your shoes at the edge of the platform, or would you just stop and just never return?
I don't know if I'd want to do it at a competition just because then you're putting in competitions are already stressful.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't want to do it at the competition because what if I had a plan to do it after my last clean and jerk and I like the clean pinned me and I fell on my butt. Like I don't want to retire after that.
oh yeah,
Um
that's what I would be like. Oh, just kidding. Hold on, we're gonna do another one.
yeah.
We're gonna redo. And like he's been trying to retire for years now. He just can't make that last clean and jerk.
So I think you just like call it after a competition or like, maybe you just get that feeling as another one's ramping up and you go, "Oh, wait, never mind. I'm not feeling
Yeah,
it anymore." And it's better to like retire yourself than be retired, you know? Where
yeah,
it's like, "Ugh,
and
your
I mean, yeah,
numbers
that
have
is
not been looking great."
yeah. 'Cause, right, if you retire, does that mean you would never do a local meet again? Or because of what you've been through traveling all around the world, you're like, I'm so over it, you know. But then maybe you want to hop in and just do one for fun. Is does that take away from the retirement? Does retirement mean never doing it again?
Well, I think that's why people also say like I'm retiring from international competition. And then they're like, you know, anything in our country that I don't have to travel for, because that's part of the stress of it too, of like, as long as
Yeah.
if I'm gonna be in there, like I might as well go. I think it'll also be fun for everyone if I compete, you know? Um, and like people have done things to like showcase and then not have their scores count, you know? Um, like I've seen people go to a meet and do a clean jerk every time. So technically they don't score for clean and jerk. So one, you're not taking somebody else's medal, but you get to show these people at this local gym like cool stuff, cool weights and all that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it makes sense that it takes out the awkwardness of like, aren't you retired? And you're like doing the whole Ric Flair thing where
Yeah.
you keep coming back to do more matches, especially if you have like over the summer at Nationals, Phil Sabatini retired. And
Hmm.
USAW made a big deal about it, and he put his shoes, and they had the videos. So that would be awkward now if he came back next year. Like we just
Right.
had the big party celebration. It's just like Ric Flair. They did the huge blowout at on Raw one night, and the Undertaker came out, and all the locker room emptied. And then like a month later, he's doing another match. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, but that was his WWE retirement, and he he just can't step away. But I imagine, it's like who even qualifies to like retire, right? Like that'd be so weird for like for me to do that,
Right. Yeah.
It's like, remember, I'm
I make
retiring
a
from
post.
local meets. Yeah, yeah, you make a post. It's like it's just kind of assumed if you're not going up to that level, you're just going to do this for life. Like this is
Yeah.
just like you're and I guess maybe one day you're just old and you haven't done it in a while, but then you could still put on a singlet anytime and come out and do it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, not everybody needs to retire. I think it's once you've been on the international scene for a while. Um, I think maybe that makes sense. Or
Yeah.
if you're like in a multiple time national champion and you've been around in the community for a while and whatnot, and you're still going to do weightlifting for life, but you're not going to like national competition because now you're shifting into like a coach role. You know,
Yeah.
but you might pop in for the novelty local meet,
Yeah.
girls and puppies. You're like, all right, I'm gonna do that one. That's just for fun. But I'm not gonna be on the USAW big stage probably
Yeah.
ever again. And I don't need to go to the Arnold because I'm probably there working, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Makes sense. Something to think about. We got to get you to nationals first before you can think about your first one. You go out there and they're like, is he putting his shoes at isn't this his first
Oh,
time
I
being here?
told
It's like,
100% I would. 100% I would. If I, man, ugh. And people would be
you're just
so
waving to the
confused.
crowd.
They're
They
like, we have
would.
so many clean and jerks to go, and I'm just taking up all the time.
I'm out there hugging on the plane, and they're like, "Hey, you guys have been delaying the meet by like 10 minutes." We, we, I hand someone my phone. Can you take our picture up here? That'd be fun. And, and then we show up again next year
Yeah.
because you qualified with your performance at that one for
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, then I guess we keep going. Yeah.
yeah. Never mind. Scrub those videos and photos from the internet. Cool. Well, Miguel, can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting out again, but yeah. All right. Closing it up.
Okay, we're holding on by a thread here, Miguel, with this internet. This is the most
All right.
it's ever been. Um, let's wrap up on this really quick. I want to make a mention of it. Our fellow teammate Frank Ford had an outstanding performance at the Howard Cohen American Masters and the America's Cup in Valley Forge last weekend. So that was a lot of fun. This was Frank's first time competing as a Masters athlete, 35 to 39 age group, 102 weight class, and we earned a couple medals. So he got a silver medal for the Howard Cohen American Masters side of the competition, and a gold medal for the America's Cup, which is an international competition. There are people from Canada, South America, all over doing that one because it's one of the ways you can qualify for the Pan Ams and Worlds. And Frank did qualify for Pan Ams and Worlds and Masters Nationals for this organization. It's separate from USA or USAW, IWF type stuff. So yeah, 5 out of 6 lifts made. He snatched 113, clean jerked 155, made all the clean jerks. We just missed one snatch. Great performance, killed it.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's nice to have someone in the club still killing it.
Hey, other people in the club are killing it. You're killing it. You're gonna kill it.
Yep.
We
We'll
we
see.
in
We'll see.
we and many others in the club intend to kill. We have the intent to kill.
I don't know.
Sounds weird.
Attendance has been spotty, you know?
Well, I mean, not everybody, not everybody, but yeah. So I did make an error in my initial post. I said that Frank was the second member of the club and first man to win an international medal. He's actually the third. And
Shy's
he's
got a Pan Am
Yep,
silver, right? Or no,
yep,
gold?
a gold, Pan Am
Yeah.
gold. Yep, yep. Did he tell you? Did he complain to you too?
No, I remember because that
Okay,
was
okay,
right
okay.
before. Yeah.
All right. He's when I came to the gym, he's like, "What about me? I got snubbed on that post," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." It was so long ago. It was so long ago. Um, so yes, Frank is the third member of the club to win an international medal. So pretty cool.
Nice.
Um, and he qualified for everything. So yeah, putting the dad strength out on display.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was cool. I'm sure. Yeah, we got to get Frank on to talk about it for sure. But I'm sure it was cool for him to be in a session that it's like this is your age group,
Yeah.
your peer group now. Like it is a cool thing. Like I experienced it at the New York State Championships, where it's like, yeah, there isn't like a 22-year-old guy around
Right.
here doing stuff. Not that it really mattered for what I was doing, but like it does feel different and like it's cool in a different way.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, no, those youngins over here, like they're not allowed. Like it's
Yeah.
all us old folks. Not everybody got at least one gray hair on their head over here. So that was cool to get him on to talk about that. 268 total. Cool. Am I still here?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So yeah, congrats to Frank, and we will need to get him on to talk all about it. Miguel, any closing thoughts while my internet is still lasting?
Um, no. Just excited for this new year coming up. New classes. We'll see new exciting things in the weightlifting world.
Yep.
And CrossFit world potentially. So yeah.
Yep. We got a new training cycle starting on January 6th. And our first meet will be the regional. This will be our first time in several years of just having downtime and not a January meet for some of you guys, not an Arnold to get ready for and travel for. So that'll be nice. I'm assuming you're going to do the open. So there's that, but that's a little different.
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to do the open?
We'll see. To an extent.
to an extent? Okay. So I thought we were going to train some CrossFit in there. So, okay. Well, anyways, that would be the only other thing in there to be the first quarter of the year. So we'll have a peaceful first quarter of the year, unless
Yeah.
someone decides to do a random meet in January, which I don't recommend. I should just put it out there: no meets, no meets. They're barred. don't don't do it. Let's just train. Let's just see out a full training cycle. 13 weeks. We got a full 13 weeks, 2 6-week blocks. We'll have to talk about it eventually here. We're gonna we're gonna be squatting 3 times a week. We're gonna be we're gonna be doing the classic Texas method.
Hmm.
Read about it in the American Weightlifting book. Look up the Texas method. We're doing that. We're not doing the horrific 90% and then 4 sets and at 93%. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're just gonna do straight up classic Texas method with the squats, and we're gonna see it out for a full 12 weeks and then taper and then do the meet. And I think it's gonna go well. I'm excited for it. We're gonna
Yeah.
keep it simple, and we're gonna go back to our roots. We're gonna go back to the hang from the knees, hang from the hips. We haven't done that in a while. We've gotten really fancy with it. Low hang, mid
Hmm.
thigh. We're going back to our roots, and we're gonna see it out, and we're gonna get a lot of reps. We're gonna start at agreeable places and build up from there instead of the normal, because we have time. That's the thing. So it's
Yeah.
like, let's just start sharpening our knives and just getting really good at things, and hopefully not be feeling like death the entire time too. I think that's a nice goal for the group, right?
Yep. For sure.
To not be. I mean, you still got to fight for your life, but like not the way that we have before. I feel
Yeah.
like we can it's like we're getting into a hot bath. Let's just ease
Hmm.
gently into it instead of just diving in there and screaming, on week 1. And by the time we get to week 4, people are walking in crutches and whatnot. But I think we can do this. I think we can.
Hope
We'll
so.
talk about it. We'll talk about it. I want to revamp our our cards,
Hmm.
um, and maybe implement a little thing where, like, maybe an RPE scale or some other scale where for each piece you can let me know how strenuous it was, and maybe that can help me guide what we do the next week.
Yep.
For going up. Like if you're like, this was the hardest thing I've done, maybe we need to stay there. We're not
Hmm.
going to go up. But sometimes it is hard to gauge because, all right, well, you didn't eat, you didn't sleep, we didn't drink water, we ran out of element, and maybe that's why do you see the troubles I'm in on trying to
Yeah.
figure out what to do for some of y'all, you know. Um, so, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. Let's plan for that. Ooh,
Yeah.
let's plan for that. Read the Texas method. Let's talk about that next time, and we'll dive into what we're going to do, and then we'll talk about the New Year program too.
Cool.
That'll be good. Awesome. All right. Well, have a good rest of your day
Yep.
and
You
your
too.
weekend. It's Saturday. It feels weird because now that we're doing this, I feel like it's Sunday. It's going to throw me
Yeah.
off now. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning, like, I'm supposed to meet Joe in 10 minutes to travel to Long Island for this meet. So, no, I won't do that. But all right. So I will talk to you I'll see you on Monday. Yeah,
Yep.
you'll be in on Monday, right?
Will be. Yep.
Perfect. Cool. Well, good luck in class tomorrow, and I will talk to you then.
All right. Thank you.
Later. Ending stream. I almost forgot to end the stream just now. I almost just clicked right. I don't even know.